Good evening, tribe members. This is a reminder that tomorrow night I am doing another live, and my focus is going to be a continuing series of exposing pedigrees in the Doberman breeding world by various breeders who claim to be doing one thing, and yet their pedigree says they're doing another thing. The pedigree is the evidence of the progenitors of the dogs that you're using. The evidence is based in peer-reviewed science, and the facts are in regarding genetic expression of diseases. The number one cause of all of the problems in our breed is the breed clubs. I'm going to be flamed for that, and I intend to be flamed for it because it's the breed clubs on both sides of the pond, both FCI, the International Doberman, the Italian Doberman Club, the IDC, everywhere. Every single solitary breed club ideology espouses the same ideology, and that is the continued and ongoing use and perpetuation of popular sires because of their mandates that claim that they believe only dogs that have been titled should be allowed into the gene pool to represent the breed. And that is the most outrageous, idiotic lunacy, and the reason why we're in the conditions that we're in. So it is actually the breed clubs who continue to espouse and berate other breeders who are contributing healthy dogs to the gene pool, albeit they're not titled. Perhaps they're not fabulously, lavishly raised. I'm not talking about terrible breeders that are just greeters. I'm talking about hobby breeders like myself, and who focused on a different ideology that doesn't line up with the breed club ideology. And they are very, very, very Karens. They're all Karens, in my view. I call them Karens because they come onto my page and they make outrageous statements. They didn't see my live, but they make criticisms of the live, and right down to the nitpicky Karen details that I had used a image of a pedigree in my social media post, and I snatched an image of a pedigree off of the internet just to add to my social media post, and it was just a Labrador pedigree. But of course, we had 3 or 4 Karens that came in and made some ludicrous, ridiculous Karen type comments saying, "Oh, why did you use what's with the Labrador? You're not going to use your own pedigrees, and you probably wouldn't use yours because you're all these snarky little comments and disparaging comments." And so I'm just going to go and get their pedigrees, and we're just going to talk about their pedigrees. So one of these breeders is very renowned, very respected, very revered. Another breeder came in and she, had backed her up. I went and looked at both of those breeders' pedigrees. Now, the one breeder actually is just a UKC champion titled dogs, which means their dogs are not competitive enough to make it an AKC. It's okay with me. Doesn't matter to me. I don't care if your dogs are not the type du jour that you can't make it an AKC. But if you're out there in UKC and you're titling them there and you're working and you're having fun with your dogs, God bless you. That's awesome. But she actually has awesome pedigrees. I would refer someone to her in a heartbeat. But she was defending the more revered AKC Grand Champion creator. I won't mention her name. I'll actually even black out her name per se, but we're going to look at her pedigree because I just did a quick Google search of her pedigree after she disparaged my pedigrees and saying I probably don't do health testing. No, I have a Grand Champion, hun, and I do have a champion. And I did title my dogs in UKC and in IABCA. And then we went IABCA, then we went up to UKC, then we went up to AKC. And so not all of my dogs could compete in AKC. My Gemma Rose, I never even bred her. I just spayed her. She was thousands of dollars. But her pedigree was terrible. And once I found out how terrible it was, I just ended up spaying her at 4, and I never used her. And then Baba, I didn't breed him until he was in the show ring at 3.5, and he finally did his first litter at 4.5. So he'd already had a couple of Echoes. He'd already had several Holters. And his pedigree, yes, his pedigree's got some DCM in there. But his pedigree also has lots of examples of longevity. But like any European pedigree, And any show dog pedigree, they are populated with popular sires. And my entire educational series that I'm doing now is about that very thing, and how the very bastions of the breed are really the problem themselves, because they cannot break away from their own ideology. It's that self-repeating conundrum, is that they will not. I was disparaged for breeding to hobby lines. I did it 10 years ago. Now today, in 2023, there's actually a study out that I've posted before by dobehealth.org, the Doberman Diversity Project, and Embark. And it was a 10-year study. And it was conclusive that show lines are the least likely to have longevity, whether it be across the pond or here. And that the greatest repository of genetic diversity and longevity is in hobby lines. And some of the longest lived dogs on the planet are from just pets. They're just average run-of-the-mill dogs. And I've actually spent the entire day today researching pedigrees from like 30 years ago, and I'm trying to contact some of these old breeders that have dogs in the 80s and the 90s, and that their pedigrees are just populated with 13-year-old dogs, 12-year-old dogs, 10-year-old dogs. And they have BFL 1s and BFL 2s. That's bred for longevity 1s, bred for longevity 2s. In fact, just to mention my lines, Baba would have been a BFL 1 if his sire had lived one more month. His sire is Leo von Markeschenland. He died at 9 years, 11 months. He would have been 10. So in my view, Baba is actually a BFL 1 because his dad made it to 10, his mom made it to 13, and Baba himself died of an ulcer that was exacerbated, bleeding terribly, because my vet misdiagnosed him and I had to give him some drugs that made him bleed out even worse. And so he had to do a transfusion, 2 of them, and one of them caused a stroke. And he died in my arms of 107 fever. And because of that, I had a 10-day-old litter at the time, and I decided to dedicate myself to looking for better pedigrees at that point. So these people that disparage me, they don't know me. They don't know anything about me, but they're just looking on the outside, and they're being judgmental because they come from a world that says we are the elites, we are the ones preserving the breed, when in fact they are the ones causing the endemic disease in the breed, because they will not stop using known popular sires like Ravenswood Azure Sky, who died in the ring at 7. It was in a nationals, and his breeder was devastated and made a public apology. His son Arsenal is so extensively used in these pedigrees that you will find out there. It's insane. My own pedigree that I just recently created, it's out of Shimako. There is some evidence of DCM there, and I'm concerned. I did not do the due diligence on every single dog in that pedigree, and that is why I'm teaching you the same thing, because even someone with as much experience as myself, I did not do the due diligence on that pedigree. Now I'm mitigating a lot because he was bred to my lines, which are very diverse. The lines that I bred to are diverse. I am diverse. And that is actually the one thing that is mitigating in these popular sire pedigrees, is the diversity lowers the chances of the intense expression of DCM. But yes, some of them will die in my litter. It will happen to me too. Some of you that I sold puppies to, your puppies will die before 10. It's a reality. And anyone who tells you otherwise and doesn't look you in the eye and tell you that they're sorry, they're not perfect, they're lying to you. Because there are ways to mitigate a better pedigree. But the breed clubs are denying that truth because it will lose them show wins in the future. And they're not willing to sacrifice their type for longevity. And so it's time to call them out, because they are not preserving the breed. Not really. Not if you keep breeding to known popular sires like that, because popular sire syndrome is fucking real. And I'm going to teach you all about it. So join me tomorrow, 7 o'clock.